cleanup batter for the Hornets, first baseman, number 27, Alex Preston. Batting fifth.
And ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the Barbara Williams Softball Complex for today's matchup between the Florida A&M Rattlers and the Alabama State Lady Hornets. I'm Joseph Moore, and on a warm 84 degrees here in the capital city of Montgomery, Alabama, we're going to bring you Alabama State Lady Hornets softball. The starting lineups today: first for the Florida A&M Rattlers, who come in at 10-13, 4-3 on the SWAC. And we're going to pause here for a second for the playing of our national anthem. And after the national anthem, let's start with your lineups. First, for the Florida A&M Lady Rattlers, who come in 10-13 on the year, 4-3 in SWAC competition. Leading off for the Rattlers, number 14, Janiah Davis. Batting second, number 4, right fielder, Michaela Irvis. Batting third, number 13, the second baseman, Destiny Cuevas. In the fourth spot, number 18, catcher, Nia Morgan. Batting fifth, number 8, first baseman, Janaea Mobley. Batting sixth, number 2, shortstop, Amaya Gaynor. Batting seventh, number 19, designated hitter, Natasha Fox. Batting eighth, number 5, left fielder, Mia Blassingame. And finally, rounding out the starting lineup in the ninth spot, number 6, third baseman, Kiana Watson. And pitching for the Florida A&M Rattlers, number 11, right-handed pitcher, Lauren Peppers. And your Alabama State Lady Hornets, who come in 16-13 on the year, 5-1 in SWAC competition. Leading off, number 1, Kendall DeRamus. Batting second, number 2, right fielder, Madison Myers. Batting third, number 5, left fielder, Alexia Denby. Batting fourth, number 27, first baseman, Alex Preston. Batting fifth, number 21, shortstop, Elena Scott. Batting sixth, number 22, third baseman, Kiana Parrish. Batting seventh, number 4, catcher, Lauren Maher. And the first pitch is thrown at 2:59 p.m. And we will continue our starting lineup. Batting eighth, number 8, designated hitter, Jasmine Rogers. And rounding out the starting lineup, number 14, second baseman, Jada Gardner. And that's a bunt by number 14, Janiah Davis. And kind of mixed up there as the pitcher for the Alabama State Hornets, number 15, and she's a left-handed pitcher, Olivia Brown. And coming up next for the Florida A&M Rattlers, Michaela Irvis, number 4. And we want to thank you for joining us here today on a beautiful, beautiful day here in the capital city. And the first pitch thrown to Irvis is called for strike 1. As you can see, the Florida A&M Rattlers in their all-orange attire And the Hornets of Alabama State in all black and silver. And the second pitch to Irvis. She tried to bunt it there, but went back in foul territory, and that'll be strike number 2 for the Rattlers. And the next pitch thrown kind of high, maybe just a little bit above her shoulder for ball number 1. Olivia Brown comes in with a 2.69 ERA on the year. And the 1-2 pitch is hit out into right field. That'll move runners to third with Davis. And landing on first will be Irvis.
Second baseman, number 13, Destiny Cuevas.
And next in the lineup here, number 13, second baseman, Destiny Cuevas. And we want to thank you for joining us this afternoon on a warm day. Breeze kind of blowing here in the capital city. 85 degrees right now. Just a beautiful day here. Perfect weather for softball. And the next pitch thrown to Cuevas is called for strike 1. And that will advance Irvis over to second base. And the 0-1 pitch is called for ball 1. And the next pitch thrown by Brown is called for strike 2. And we're going to keep you tuned in as well as on the baseball competition today. Game number 2 in Jackson, Mississippi with Alabama State and Jackson State. And a big hit. And a big hit by Cuevas. And that will be passed over to first base, and that will be out number 1 for the Rattlers. And just a thought here, we want to send our thoughts and prayers out to the residents of Mississippi on the western side of the state. They had a huge tornado come through last night and demolished some homes in that part of the area in western Mississippi. So I believe that was the Rolling Rock community in Mississippi. Count now 0-1. And Brown with the 0-1 as the bunt goes forward by Nia Morgan and thrown out at first. That still leaves two runners on second and third as we begin the first half of the inning. And up to bat in the fifth spot, number 8, first baseman Janiah Mobley. And a big hit into left field, goes towards the warning track, and that will bring 2 runners in for Florida A&M. And Mobley will make her way to second base.
Next up at bat for the Rattlers, shortstop
It's a
number
big
2,
start for
Omar
the Lady
Higgins.
Rattlers here today. In game number 2, game number 1 of a doubleheader here today that we'll provide for you here on not only BamaStateSports.com, but as well as our YouTube channel and Alabama State Sports. 2 outs, 2-0 lead by the Rattlers, and another hit to the shortstop, throws it over to first base, and that will be out number 3 for the Lady Rattlers. And that will be 2 runs, 3 hits, no errors, 1 left on base. Florida A&M starts the top of the first inning, leading 2-0 over your Alabama State Hornets. We'll be right back after this timeout. And back live here in Montgomery, Florida A&M started off the top of the first inning with 2 runs coming in. And now it's time for the Alabama State Hornets to come up to bat with leading off number 1, center fielder Kendall DeRamus. And I was mentioning about that town in Mississippi. It's called Rolling Fork, Mississippi. So, again, just keep them in your thoughts and prayers as the first pitch thrown by Peppers with a 7.14 earned run average. And she throws the first pitch for strike number 1. And the next pitch thrown for strike number 2. And the 0-2. Did she go? I don't think she did. She kind of held back a little bit, did DeRamus. And that will be for ball number 1. Again, the count is 1 ball, 2 strikes here in the bottom of the first inning. And the 1-2 is hit in foul territory near the bullpen. And Peppers with the 1-2 as Kendall pops it over into left field in foul territory, but the left fielder gets the out. And that is how Alabama State will start. Up to bat, number 2, Madison Myers, .434 batting average on the season. And And the first pitch thrown to Myers is for ball one. I do wonder how long they're going to keep Peppers in the game. I mean, I know she's the starting pitcher and all, but has an earned run average of 7.14, 1-5 on the season. And as she throws the 1-0 pitch, called for ball number 2 for Myers. And Peppers with the 2-0. Thrown a little high for ball number 3. And the 3-0 is called for ball number 4, as that will move Myers over to second base and bring in Alexia Denby. And the first pitch thrown is for ball 1. And the next pitch is thrown for ball 2. And the 2-0 pitch is fouled back for strike number 1. Two and 1 the count. And Denby fouls it back again into the top of the net for strike 2. 2-2 the count, with 1 out. Denby with a .357 batting average on the year. Definitely one of the heavy hitters here in this lineup. And the 2-2 sends her swinging down. Kind of a high pitch by Peppers, but caught her in the right position, as that will make out number 2 for the Lady Hornets. And coming up next in the 4th spot, number 27, first baseman Alex Preston. Batters 5, 6, and 7 coming up next for the Lady Hornets. And the first pitch is thrown for strike number 1. Kind of wonder if this is going to be a repeat of yesterday's game, as kind of a defensive battle in the first couple of innings, and then the bat started swinging in about the 3rd and 4th inning. And that hit will go towards the warning track as Preston makes her way to first, and that will bring in Madison Myers as Alabama State gets 1 run here in the bottom of the 1st inning.
Next up at bat for the Hornets, shortstop, number 21, Elena Scott.
And now coming up next, in the 5th spot, number 21, shortstop, Elena Scott. And the hit by Scott gets Elena on first, and that's going to bring in a runner. Is she out? She is out. Alex Preston banged up a little bit as she slid in home. And honestly, Coach Bradley has a way to argue that right there, as that kind of caught us off guard in last night's game.
No errors with 1 left on base.
And with the end of the first inning, 1 run, 2 hits, no errors, 1 left on base. We head to the top of the second inning as FAMU leads 2-1.
Be sure to follow us on Twitter at Bama State Sports.
Joseph Moore back here at the Barbara Williams Softball Complex as FAMU up to bat now as Natasha Fox leads off this inning. And a big way, well, kind of a disappointing way, as we were trying to score a run and the catcher for FAMU was just blocking the edge of the plate. And that will be called for ball 1. And Brown with the 1-0 pitch. Is that going to be out of the park? And my goodness, that is a big home run for Natasha Fox. Oh my goodness. And that will make the score 3-1 here in the top of the second inning. Up to bat now in the 8th spot, number 5, Mia Blassingame. And the first pitch thrown to Blassingame is knocked over the second baseman's head, and that will advance Blassingame over to first.
Next up at bat for the Rattlers, third baseman, number 6.
And as the Rattlers make their way to the bottom half of the line, or the bottom part of the lineup, number 6, third baseman Kiana Watson is now up to bat. Kiana Watson with a .266 batting average on the season. And a big hit by Watson. Can they make it? That is going to bring possibly 1 runner around. But as the head coach of A&M stopped her from scoring, we've got 2 runners on second and third, as it looks like FAMU is trying to dominate this game, and for the most part, they are right now. And it looks like we're going to have a meeting here at the pitcher's circle. Wondering if they're going to keep Olivia Brown in. I think Alabama State right now just needs to settle down. Score is only 3-1. Alabama State won big last night, 5-4, after a big hit into center field, scored the winning run for the Hornets. And they could definitely repeat this here today. Again, the first game of a doubleheader here today on a beautiful Saturday afternoon. Kind of windy and to look through the trees here in Montgomery.
The lineup for the Rattlers, center fielder number 14, Janiah Davis.
And looking at the American flag, it is definitely twirling towards the road. Kind of makes you wonder. And the first pitch by Brown, thrown to Janiah Davis, is called for ball one. And if I remember correctly, last night, Florida A&M kind of got into this little deal where they were knocking hits throughout the park, but Alabama State managed to come back and win last night. Alabama State only 5-1 in SWAC competition. Great start for them. And the pitch count is now 2-0 for Davis. And the next pitch is hit towards the first baseman. And that will be out number one for the Rattlers.
Next up at bat for the Rattlers, right fielder number 4, Melkayla Irvis.
And I think Todd Bradley is going to make the decision right now to bring Olivia Brown out. And we are going to bring in the ace pitcher. Bailey Greenlee is coming in.
Now pitching for the Hornets, number 3, Bailey Greenlee.
So far, Bailey Greenlee is 9-5 on the year. And she comes in with a 281 earned run average on the season. And let's see if she can bring that magic here today. And as Greenlee is warming up here, I want to thank you all for joining us here today. Top of the second inning, Florida A&M holding on to a 3-1 lead as A&M only has one out. And we're going to get this part of the inning started with a pitching change as Greenlee comes in. And the first pitch thrown with Irvis called for strike number one. And Irvis tried to go for the bunt with a 1-1 count. And the next pitch thrown in the dirt and sliding in head first is Kiana Watson. And that will now make the score 4-1 here in the top of the second inning. Florida A&M's definitely taking some chances here. And the next pitch called for ball 2. 2-1 the count. And the 3-1 is bunted. And are they going to, they did call it fair. Let's see if they did call it fair. They called it fair as that advanced. As that advanced Irvis over to first. Not a good start for Alabama State here in the top of the second. Let's see if Bailey can get warmed up here. But A&M is definitely just taking as many chances and on the winning end of it. Count now 1-0 is fouled back into the net for strike one. And the 1-1 is called for strike two. And the 1-2 is popped up just past the FAMU dugout. Count still 1-2. And again with the 1-2 fouled back into the net. And the 1-2 is popped up into left center and caught for out number 2. And that was caught by Kendall Doremus. And now coming up to bat in the fourth spot, number 18, the catcher, Nia Morgan. Two outs now. And a 5-1 lead. And we've got a runner stealing second. Alabama State only has 2 outs. Top of the second. And the count now for Morgan is 1-0. And Greenlee with a 1-0 just outside for ball 2. And the 1-1 in the dirt for ball 2. And the count now 3-1. And the 3-1 is fouled back for strike two. Three and two, 2 outs. Top of the second. And the 3-2 again is fouled back. And with the 3-2 again, fouled back by Nia Morgan. And the 3-2 will walk Nia Morgan over to first.
For the Rattlers, first baseman, number 8, Janiah Mobley.
And here comes Janiah Mobley, batter 6, 7, 8, and 9. Up next. And the first pitch is fouled back for strike number 1. And the 0-1 slung in there for strike number 2. And the 0-2 pitch is Irvis. Irvis ran into Parrish, who was trying to make the play. And it looked like the leg knocked her in the throat. And Kiana Parrish is up at the moment. We'll see if they'll keep her in the game here. And It looks like Riley Baker is going to come into the game.
Number 33, Riley Baker. Next up at bat for the Rattlers, shortstop number 2, Amaya Gaynor.
And the pitch thrown to Gaynor is called for strike 1. And fouled back again for strike 2. And down goes. And down goes Gaynor for strike number 3. And that will make 3 outs. And with 3 runs, 5 hits, no errors, and 3 left on base, we head to the bottom of the 2nd inning. FAMU 5, Alabama State 1. And back live here in Montgomery as number 33, Riley Baker, is coming up to bat for the Lady Hornets. And the first pitch thrown is called for strike 1. And just to give you a little update now, Alabama State is leading Jackson State in baseball in the top of the 3rd with 1 out, 6-2. And the next pitch thrown to Baker is called for strike number 2. And the next pitch thrown is still 1-2 as it's fouled back. And the 0-2 thrown high and outside for ball one. And the 1-2 is called for ball two. And the 2-2 fouled back again. And the 2-2 in the dirt for ball three. And the 3-2 is popped up and caught by the shortstop for out number 2.
Next up at bat for the Hornets, catcher number 4, Lauren.
Excuse me, for out number 1. And the first pitch thrown to Lauren Maher is called for ball one. And the 1-0 is fouled back. For strike number 1. And the 1-1 in the dirt for ball 2. And the 2-1 is called for ball 3. And the 3-1 walks Maher.
Next up at bat for the Hornets, number 8, Jasmine Rogers.
And now coming up to bat, Jasmine Rogers in the 8th spot. Batters 9, 1, and 2 coming up next for Alabama State. And the pitch by Rogers is hit towards center field, and that will now put Alabama State in position with runners at first and second.
Next up at bat for the Hornets, second baseman, number 14, Jada Gardner.
And the first pitch is thrown for ball one. And the 1-0. And that is called for strike one. And we've got a steal over here at third. And then advance the runner over to second base. And that brings up Jada Gardner. And the 1-1 is called for strike two. And now the 1-2 fouled back. And the 1-2 is down for strike number three, and that'll make 2 outs for the Hornets.
Number 1, Kendall Doremus.
And the first pitch is 1-0. As Kendall Doremus, the heavy hitter, and the 1-0 is called for ball two. And Peppers with the 2-1 and fouled back for strike two. Again, 2 outs. Bottom of the second. And with the 2-2, that is hit towards the running, towards the track, and that will bring around 2 runs for Alabama State, as that will make the score 5-3, and that will put Doremus all the way to third, as Madison Myers will come up to bat with a .434 batting average. And now Madison Myers up to bat with 2 outs. And the first pitch thrown to Myers is called for ball 1. And the 1-0 is low for ball 2. And the 2-0 pitch just outside the plate for ball 3. Got a runner on third in scoring position. And the 3-0 is called for strike 1. And the 3-1 is now called for strike 2. And the 3-2 is fouled back. Still 3-2 with 2 outs. And the pitch is popped up and almost a collision. Well, slight collision there as the shortstop caught it to make 3 outs for Alabama State. And we're going to head to the top of the third inning with 2 runs, 2 hits, no errors, and 1 left on base. Again, we head to the top of the third inning with FAMU holding on to a 5-3 lead. And the first pitch thrown to Natasha Fox is called for ball 1. And again, giving you a score update in the top of the 4th inning. Alabama State 6, Jackson State 2 with no outs. And Natasha Fox calls, gets the strike, swings a little wildly. The 1-1 is called for ball 2. And the 2-1 now called for strike number 2. And the 2-2 is fouled back again. And Greenlee with a 2-2 is fouled back again. Count now, still 2-2. And with the 2-2, full count now for Natasha Fox. And the 3-2, and Fox goes down swinging for out number 2.
Next up at bat for the Rattlers, left fielder number 5, Mia Blessingay.
And correction, that is out number 1. And with the first pitch thrown, that'll be out number 2 as Riley Baker gets the catch.
Next up at bat for the Rattlers, third baseman number 6, Kiana Watson.
And now up to bat now in the 9th spot, third baseman number 6, Kiana Watson. And the first pitch thrown to Watson is called for ball number 1. And the 1-0 pitch to Watson is now called for strike number 1. And the 1-1 is called for ball 2. Two outs now. Greenlee with the 2-1. Now called for strike 2. And the 2-2. Again called for 3-2. Full count now for Watson. And the 3-2 is popped up. Count now still 3-2. And that will send Watson over to first base.
Back to the top of the lineup for the Rattlers, center fielder number 14, Janiah Davis.
And now at the top of the lineup, number 14, Janiah Davis. And let's give you an update of the standings here. Grambling State and Prairie View A&M are tied in the West for first place. And Alabama State is leading the East right now. And we're going to take you around the schedule here in just a little bit as Davis goes for the bunt. And that will bring Davis back. Here are some scores from today's action around the SWAC in softball. Jackson State defeated Bethune-Cookman 5-4 in a final. And again, Davis goes for the bunt, and it's fouled back for strike two. Count now 1-2. One and two the count with 2 outs. And the 1-2 in the dirt. Oh my goodness, here we go. And Watson advances over to third. Thought one of our players was going to send her back to second, but she managed to stutter step and get over to third base. 2-2 the count for Davis. And with the 2-2, fouled back again. And the 2-2 is hit towards the second baseman, and the first baseman bobbled the catch, and that will advance Davis over to first, and that will also bring in a run as FAMU now leads 6-3.
Right fielder number 4, Milkayla Irvis.
And the first pitch thrown to Irvis is called for ball number 1. And the 1-0 is called for strike 1. And with the 1-1, that is popped up into left field, and that will make out number 3 for Florida A&M. With 1 run, no hits, 1 errors, 1 left on base, we head to the bottom of the 3rd inning. Florida A&M 6, Alabama State 3. And welcome back to Montgomery as Alexia Denby is up to bat in the third spot. Batters 4, 5, and 6 coming up next for the Lady Hornets. And a big swing is called for a strike for Denby. And the 0-1 again called for strike 2. And the 0-2 to Denby, thrown high for ball 1. And the 1-2 is hit out into left field and caught by the left fielder, Mia Blasingame, for out number 1.
Next up at bat for the Hornets, number 27, first baseman Alex Preston.
And up to bat now in the fourth spot, number 27, Alex Preston. And the first pitch thrown to Preston is called for ball 1. And the next pitch in the dirt. Count now 1-1. And the count now 2-1. And the 2-1 is now called for 2-2. And the 2-2 is hit to the third baseman and thrown over to the first baseman for out number 2.
Next up at bat for the Hornets, shortstop, number 21, Elena Scott.
And now coming up, number 5 in the fifth spot, number 21, shortstop, Elena Scott. And with 2 outs, and the count now is 1-0. And Peppers with the 1-0 is now called for strike 1. And the 1-1 is hit back, fouled back for strike number 2. And Peppers with the 1-2 is popped up. And the first baseman for the Rattlers catches it for out number 3. With no runs, no hits, no errors, none left on base, FAMU still leads 6-3 over Alabama State. And back live, Florida A&M up to bat as number 13, Destiny Cuevas up to bat. And number 13, Madison Britt, is in for Lauren Maher at catcher. And the first pitch by Greenlee is in the dirt for ball 1. And the 2-0 is now strike 1 for Cuevas. And the 2-1 pitch in the dirt for ball 3. And the 3-1 will walk Cuevas over to first.
Next up at bat for the Rattlers, catcher number 18, Nia Morgan.
And now up to bat, Nia Morgan for the Rattlers. And the first pitch thrown to Morgan is called for ball 1. And the 1-0 is hit and called foul for Florida A&M. And that will make 1 ball, 1 strike for Nia Morgan. And the 1-1 pitch is hit to the third baseman, and that will be A double play, and that will make 2 outs for Florida A&M. Big play right there.
First baseman number 8, Janiah Mobley.
And now coming up in the 5th spot, Janiah Mobley. And the first pitch thrown outside for ball 1. And the 1-0 is hit to the shortstop and thrown over to first for out number 3. And with no runs, no hits, no errors, none left on base, we head to the bottom of the 4th inning as Florida A&M leads Alabama State 6-3.
Hornet fans, Sam's Club as well as
And now leading off for Alabama State in the bottom of the 4th inning is number 33, Riley Baker. And the first pitch is thrown for ball 1. And the next pitch, fouled back for strike 1. Correction, the count is 2-1. And in the dirt for ball 2. And the 2-1 to Baker is called for strike 2. And the 2-2 thrown high for ball 3. Full count now for Baker. the 3-2 is popped up to right center, and that will be out number 1 for Alabama State.
Next up at bat for the Hornets, number 13, Madison Britt.
And now coming up to bat for the Hornets is number 13, Madison Britt. And the first pitch to Britt is outside for ball 1. And the 1-0 is now called for ball 2. And now the 2-0 to Britt is called for strike 1. And the 2-1 is now called for strike 2. Thought that might have been a little bit outside, but now 2 strikes on Britt. And now called for strike number 3 is Madison Britt. And that'll make out number 2 for the Hornets.
Jasmine Rogers.
And now coming up to bat in the 8th spot, number 8, Jasmine Rogers. And the first pitch thrown to Rogers is called for strike 1. Two outs now, bottom of the 4th inning. And the next pitch is hit to the center fielder, and that'll make out number 3 for the Hornets. In the bottom of the 4th inning, with no runs, no hits, no errors, none left on base, we head to the top of the 5th inning with your score, Florida A&M 6, Alabama State 3.
No errors with none left on base.
And back live here in Montgomery, Joseph Moore here at the Barbara Williams Softball Complex, taking you to the top of the 5th inning as Florida A&M will bring up in the 6th spot number 2, Amaya Gaynor. And the first pitch thrown to Gaynor is hit past third base, down the line, and that will land Gaynor on first.
Next up at bat for the Rattlers, number 19, Natasha Fox.
And now coming up to bat for Florida A&M is Natasha Fox. And the first pitch thrown is called for strike 1. And the 0-1 is fouled back for strike number 2. And Pye with the 0-2 is hit into foul territory. And not sure what's going on here. It looks like the call signs for Ashley Pye. And the 0-2 is hit back into foul territory. And the count still 0-2. And the 0-2. And that runner for Florida A&M will be safe
Next up
at second.
Left fielder number 5, Mia Blessingay.
Runners at first and second. And the pitch to Blasingame is called for strike one. And we've got a little delay in action here. And it looks like there may be a little substitution here. Not sure what is going on, but. And 21, Alexis Jones will be coming in to pinch run. And with the 0-1 count, that'll make strike two for Blasingame. And the 0-2 is bounced towards the shortstop, and my goodness, what happened there? I don't know if Preston just had a little miscommunication there, or it might have been thrown out of her reach, but a wild throw. And that will bring in another runner for Florida A&M to make the score now 7-3. What happened here? The catcher was trying to throw it past Ashley Pye at the pitcher circle over to second, and did not work out there as it brought in a run for Florida A&M, making the score 8-3. And the first pitch thrown to Kiana Watson is called a ball. And the count now is 2-1. And correction, the count is 2-0. And Watson tried to go for the bunt there, and that'll make the count 3-0. And the count now 4-0, which will walk Kiana Watson and bring up Janiah Davis.
Next up at bat for the Rattlers, center fielder number 14, Janiah Davis.
And now coming up, Janiah Davis. Score 8-3. here in the top of the 5th. And the hit over, thrown over to first, will make out number 1.
Next up at bat for the Rattlers, right fielder number 4, Michaela Irvis.
And now coming up for Florida A&M will be number 4, Michaela Irvis. And the first pitch thrown to Irvis is called for strike 1. And the next pitch on the 0-1 is called for strike 2. And the next pitch thrown by Pye is called for ball 1. And the hit by Irvis is fouled back. Count still 1-2. And the hit again, and the pitch thrown on the 1-2 count is fouled back into the net. Still 1-2. And the 1-2 is called for strike 3, and that'll make out number 2 for Florida A&M, which will bring up number 13, Destiny Cuevas.
Number 13, Destiny Cuevas.
And the first pitch thrown is called for ball 1. And the next pitch thrown by Pye is called for strike 2. Called for strike 1. Count 1-1. And that will be hit to the second baseman, and that will be the end of the top of the 5th inning. And with 2 runs, 2 hits, 2 errors, and 2 left on base, we head to the bottom half of the 5th inning with your score, FAMU 8, Alabama State 3. And back live here in Montgomery as Jada Gardner will lead off here for Alabama State. Here in the bottom half of the 5th inning, FAMU holding on to an 8-3 lead. And the first pitch thrown to Gardner is called for ball 1. Excuse me, called for strike 1. And the next pitch for Gardner is called for strike 2. And the 0-2 is hit to the second baseman. And Jada will be safe at first. And now we head back to the top of the lineup for Alabama State as Kendall Doremus comes up to bat. And the first pitch thrown will be called for ball 1. And the bunt by Doremus is fouled back for strike 1. And the 1-1 is thrown over to second. And Jada makes her way over to second. And the 2-1 is bunted towards the third baseman and thrown out at first.
Next up at bat for the Hornets
is
right
Doremus.
fielder, number 2, Madison Myers.
That advances Jada Gardner over to third. And Kennedy Alsabrook
for the Hornets, number 66, Kennedy Alsbrook
will come in here. And the first pitch thrown to Alsabrook is called for ball 1. And with the 1-0 pitch, called now for ball 2. And the 2-0 is called for strike one. And the 2-1 is fouled back for strike number two. And that will sit down Alsbrook and bring up out number two for Alabama State.
Next up at bat for the Hornets, left fielder number 5, Alexia Denby.
And now coming in the third spot, number 5, Alexia Denby. Now let's see what Alexia Denby can do here with 2 outs. And the first pitch is fouled back for strike one. And next pitch, back now for strike number 2 for Denby. Denby kind of put herself in a hole here with 2 strikes, with 2 fouls. And Peppers with the 0-2. Will now be called ball 1. 1-2 the count. And the 1-2. Low and in the dirt. Now ball 2. And the 2-2 thrown high for ball 3. Full count now for Denby. And the 3-2 is hit towards left field, and that will put Denby on first and bring in a runner, making the score 8-4. 2 outs now, bottom of the 5th inning. And the first pitch, hit to Alex Preston, is fouled back for strike 1. And the 0-1 is called for strike number 2. Again, 2 strikes. And Peppers with the 0-2. Called for ball 1. Count now 1-2 with 2 outs. Bottom of the 5th inning, Florida A&M 8, Alabama State 4. And the 1-2 is hit out of the park, but in foul territory, and the count's still 1-2. And the 1-2 pitch is fouled back. Basically on top of our press box here. Count still 1-2 with 2 outs. And the 1-2 to Preston is fouled back, and she's still hanging in there on the plate, battling at the plate. And the 1-2 is hit past the shortstop and hit out into left center, and that will put Denby on third and Preston on first.
Next up at bat for the Hornets, shortstop number 21, Elena Scott.
And now coming in, number 21, Elena Scott.
Pitch running for the Hornets, number 9, Jordan Cable.
And Jordan Cable coming in to pinch run on first. And we've got a little discussion here at the pitcher circle. And number 3, Beasley, will come in for Peppers.
Now pitching for the Rattlers, number 3,
as the new
Christiana
pitcher.
Beasley.
And now Beasley coming in the pitcher circle as a new pitcher for the Lady Rattlers. And Elena Scott in the batter's box. And the first pitch thrown low and inside for ball 1. And the 1-0 is called again for ball 2. And the 2-0 is thrown just outside the corner of the plate for ball 3. And with the 3-0 pitch is now called for strike 1. And the 3-1 is called for strike 2. Full count now. Three and 2 with 2 outs. And the 3-2 is popped back. And the count remains 3 and 2. And with the 3-2 again is hit to the second baseman and thrown out at first. And in the bottom of the 5th inning with 1 run, 3 hits, no errors, and 2 left on base, we head to the top of the 6th inning with your score, FAMU 8, Alabama State 4. And back live in Montgomery, the first pitch thrown by Pye is for strike one. And the 0-1 is now called for ball one. And the 2-1 is fouled back for strike number two. Two and two now, the count. And low and in the dirt, thrown by Pye, is now called for ball number three. And the 3-2 is hit out into left field and at the warning track, thrown back in to second base. As Nia Morgan advances her way over.
Number 8, first baseman Janiyah Mobley.
And now coming up next is Janiyah Mobley for the Rattlers. And we've got a pinch runner coming in for Florida A&M.
Pitch running for the Rattlers, number 20, Miasia Armstrong.
And number 20, Miasia Armstrong. And big hit by Mobley, and that will bring a runner around and make the score now 9-4.
Next up at bat for the Rattlers, shortstop number 2, Amaya Gaynor.
And now coming up to bat now, number 6, shortstop Amaya Gaynor. And the first pitch thrown to Gaynor is tipped back for strike one. And now coming in for Florida A&M, on first. Nariah Lee as a pinch runner.
Pitch running for the Rattlers, number 9, Nariah Lee.
And the first pitch thrown to Gaynor is 1 ball and 1 strike, the count. And tried to go for the bunt there. And that'll make the count 1-2. And it looked like Gaynor leaned into it and is hit with the pitch, and that'll now move her over to first and advance another runner over to second, and bringing up now Natasha Fox. And the count now for Natasha Fox is 1-0. And the next pitch thrown to Fox is called for strike 1. And the next pitch thrown to Natasha Fox is called for strike 2. And the 1-2 is hit towards the shortstop and fumbles it. And the third baseman and the shortstop collide together. And that will now load the bases.
Pitch hitting for the Rattlers, number 23, Deondalyn Simmons.
And now pinch hitting, number 23, Deondalyn Simmons for Florida A&M. And the first pitch thrown to Simmons is called for ball 1 in the dirt. And the 1-0 is swung for strike one. And the 1-1 is hit to the pitcher, thrown at home and over to first. That will make one out. And I believe that
for the Rattlers, number 17, Nadia Centeno.
We'll bring in a pitch hitter for Florida A&M, Nadia Centeno. Five. All right, we got another pinch runner in for FAMU, and thrown, hit towards the shortstop, and going to throw out at home. And that's Natasha Fox. In at home. And as Natasha Fox was coming in home, kind of did a flip while she was trying to dive in. And not sure why Florida A&M would be trying to argue this, because we had a play at home earlier where the FAMU catcher blocked home plate. And number 6 will be Kiana Watson,
Re-entering the game for the
pinch
Rattlers,
running
number
in.
6, Kiana Watson. Back to the top of the lineup for the Rattlers, number 14, the center fielder, Janiyah Davis.
And now that will be 2 outs after the shakeup at home. And 14, Janiyah Davis at the top of the lineup, tried to go for the bunt there. And the next pitch thrown is called a strike, and now have a ball. 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 outs. FAMU with an 11-run lead, 11-4 lead here in the top of the 6th. And Davis tried to go for the bunt again. but fouled back. 2-2 the count. And the 2-2, did she go? She did not, and that'll make the count 3-2. The 3-2 is hit above the pitcher and safe at first is Davis. The hit bounced over the pitcher's head, and the second baseman tried to pick it up and throw her out at first. That makes now the score 12-4. And with 2 outs, hits one over past the third baseman, then bounce back to the shortstop. And that will bring in another run and make the score 13-4.
Second baseman, number 13, Destiny Cuevas.
And the hit towards the shortstop and overthrown is the throw over to first, and that'll bring in another run and make the score 15-4. My goodness. I agree with one of the parents down below us here at the press box. Just got to make the routine play. And it seems that's cost Alabama State the entire game. I'm not sure what happened from last night. And it was a tough ball game last night for Alabama State. Kind of a defensive game in the first 2 innings, and then the bat started swinging for both teams, and then it kind of slowed down, and Alabama State won it in the final inning. Different story here today. FAMU's leading 15-4. And the next pitch is called for strike 2. And with the 0-2 pitch, hit out into right field. And a runner coming around to third base. And that will advance a runner over to second. And with 2 outs in scoring position is the third baseman. And bringing up number 9, Nariah Lee. And with the 1-0 pitch, Fouled back again for strike one. And now the count 1-2 for Nariah Lee. And the 1-2 is now called for 2-2. Count 2-2. Ashley Pye needs to get out of this now. And the 2-2 is hit to the shortstop and thrown over at first for out number 3. And as we head to the bottom of the 6th inning, and we'll find out here in just a second. And the score here, FAMU 15, Alabama State 4. We'll head to the bottom of the 6th right after this. And now coming up to bat for the Hornets, number 33, Riley Baker. And the first pitch thrown. Is called for ball 1. And the next pitch is fouled back for strike 2. And the next pitch thrown on the 1-1 is now called for strike number 2. on the 1-2, just outside for ball number 2. And the next pitch thrown on 2-2 is called for ball number 3. And the 3-2 is hit to the third baseman and thrown out at first is Riley Baker. That'll be out number 1. And now coming up to bat now will be number 4, Lauren Maher. Batters 8, 9, and 1 coming up next for Alabama State. And the first pitch thrown to Maher is called for strike 1. And the 0-1 to Maher is hit to the pitcher and thrown out at first for out number 2.
Next up at bat for the Hornets, number 8, Jasmine Rogers.
And the first pitch thrown to to Jasmine Rogers is called for ball 1. And 2-0 the count for Rogers. And thrown outside for ball 3. And now called for strike 1. Count now 3-1 with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 6th. And 3-2 now with 2 outs. And with a 3-2 pitch, and that will be out number 3. And that will be the end of the game here in the first of a doubleheader. Your final score, FAMU 15, Alabama State 4. Hope you stick around for game 2, which will start in 30 minutes, so probably a little after 6 there. I'm Joseph Moore bringing you Alabama State softball Again, your final score, FAMU 15, Alabama State 4. Stay tuned for game number 2 in about 30 minutes.